Hi, darling. Welcome back. Whenever human beings have a level of power, a level of monopoly, it's always shocking to me how there's always a similar pattern where they abuse that power. We can talk about politics and all that, but similar to politicians and the state of our country, the taxi industry is similar. They have a market share of they basically 80% of South Africans use taxis. 80% of South Africans use taxis to commute every day to work. And they basically contribute, they have a market share of about 90 billion rands a year. So when I heard the story of Sianda Mthokozisi Mvelase, the thing is, this story is not unique. There's so many cases similar to this that have happened, and to me, this speaks of just the levels of human evil that constantly confuse me. I even start having the question that I don't think hell is a place, someplace far away from the world. I'm now starting to realize and feel constantly that hell could be a place that is on earth. If hell is a real place, I feel like it is a place on earth. Because how are you going to tell me that a human life was lost over 20 rand? Because I've traveled to Soweto. Let's say you want to go from Maponya to Bara, that will cost around 20 rand. Nothing above 30 rand. So this young man lost his life over 20 rand. 20 rand. And the thing that frustrates me about this entire situation is that taxi drivers have a huge number of people that they take every day. Most people will still use taxis. Uber drivers, Bolt drivers, Lyft drivers only take about one person or two people. Your taxi takes about 15 passengers. A family has lost a child. And for me, I'm increasingly frustrated when I hear these stories, because I'm one person who has faced unemployment, and I might potentially be unemployed pretty soon. So hearing these stories of someone trying to get out of poverty, someone trying to get out and have a better life, and then you kill them. This young man had only 3 days working as an Uber driver. He was shot dead and burned, and his family is only going to bury a bone, one of his bones. I don't understand the level of human evil. Like, taxi drivers think they are gods. They think they are gods. And I'm not saying every single taxi driver is an evil person, but taxi drivers think they are gods. If they are not making life miserable for women, depending on how women are dressed, because taxi drivers do this thing where if a woman is dressed in a certain way, whether that be it's form-fitting or some kind of way, there is going to be commotion there. Taxi drivers have an issue when you speak English or you speak another language, and you have to speak the language that they communicate in. We are constantly adapting to taxi drivers. We're constantly accommodating them. We're constantly trying to accommodate taxi drivers, trying to be nice, trying to be kind, trying to make sure you don't cause a scene when you go into a taxi, but they don't do it. They have levels of power that has gone unchecked because they know that our government will not really regulate the industry. They don't pay taxes. They don't pay taxes because they don't have any kind of documentation of how much they earn. They don't have official documentation that could be processed. So they basically make money without tax. I remember even a story a few years ago when I was in university of an Uber driver. They poured acid on him because he was picking up certain people from certain locations. Before I go on and share more on how I just am processing this entire thing, I want to share a few videos with you, and then we can talk about this conversation. And I hope it ignites some kind of change, some little change or some discussion. Because this, guys, once someone is dead, they're not coming back. He's gone.
The Uber driver who lost his life at Maponya Mall started driving his Uber on Monday, and by Wednesday he was gone. Mthokozisi Mvelase was just 27 years old, and he was looking forward to taking care of his sickly mother in KZN. This week, Soweto residents held a candlelight vigil in his honor, and they vowed to shut down Maponya Mall for 7 days. They burnt a taxi, and they protested by closing down roads. But none of this will bring Mthokozisi back. I am a journalist from South Africa, currently living in South Korea, and I bring you news from South Africa and all over the world. Mthokozisi had only been working as an e-hailing driver for 3 days when armed men approached his car outside Maponya Mall. They shot him and set the car alight. The community now says they will not allow taxis to operate inside the mall again. The Gauteng MEC for Roads and Transport has asked all people to commit to peace, saying that everyone must have the freedom to choose how they want to travel without fear or intimidation. But what do you think? Do you think any arrest will be made and give justice to Mthokozisi? And do you think taxi drivers and owners will stop bullying people after this? Or will things only get worse? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. For longer stories and more detailed news, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's called Life with Miss Media.
Thokozisi umntanaka Thokozisi umntanaka sisi wami uSiphonzile sisi wami omdala was born in 1998. He's 27 years old. So Thokozisi used to, after matric, he came to Joburg. I used to help him to look for jobs there and there, and then he would work, and then his work where I've worked also as well, and then he decided to relocate to back home in KZN, and then since then he's been trying to make a living for himself so that he can provide for himself and his mother. You know, he's the only child, so he's been trying to provide for his mother. So then just a couple of months back, he kept telling me, I'm coming back to Joburg, I've got an Uber, I'm going to get an Uber car, and then he will go quiet, and then again he will come back. How is it going? Just normal chats now and then. How is it going? I'm going to get that Uber, I'm telling you, I am telling you. And then eventually got the Uber about 2 weeks ago, and then he only started on Monday, and then boom, Wednesday night we get the news. I'm like, how? But just speaking to this person, he was so excited that he's gonna make a living for himself. He's gonna be able to provide for his mother, who's a sickly person herself. So what we're getting here from the office, we just want them to come.
Shattered. That's how members of his maternal family, the Kuzwayo family, feel about their son's brutal murder. His mother, Konzi Kuzwayo, was rushed to hospital as she is struggling to come to terms with the death of her only son. The family describes Mvelase as a man of peace. They are shocked at the manner in which he was killed. What is more horrific is that we have been informed that he was burnt to ashes and only recovered just one of his bone. That is what will be buried. Maybe we would have found closure if they could have at least spared his body after shooting him. Currently, we have no money to bury. We have nothing. We don't even have money to fetch his remains from Johannesburg. We are in disbelief and confused. Mvelase's family says he worked as an e-hailing driver for just a few months before going to Gauteng to do the same job. They say he was excited that he was now going to be able to take care of his sickly mother and build a house for the family.
The way I am so devastated, I cannot express it. The last time I spoke to him was on Monday. He was telling me about his ambitions, that he wanted to build his mother a proper house.
Mvelase's murder sparked community protests at Maponya Mall on Thursday. The family is calling on the police to bring his killers to book. Londi Khatebe, SABC News, Ulundi.
Taxis have advantages that basically contributes to a lot of people being able to make a living. Most people use taxis to go to work. Taxis are fast, they know very fast routes, and taxis can be very affordable for most South Africans. But then there's a culture there where they harass women, where they harass people of other tribes, where you are just made to feel uncomfortable even though you're a paying customer. There's constant videos of customers fighting with taxi drivers, arguing with taxi drivers, and their solution to a lot of things is violence. They always operate in violence. They always operate as if they are a cartel in South Africa, and they have so much power that has been unchecked because our government doesn't care. We already live in a country whereby you could go to school, graduate, get a degree, but still struggle to get a job. And then there's young people who are trying to make it out of poverty. You are trying to make it out of poverty, and then that is still a problem. That is still a problem. 3 days into a job, he's gone, killed, done. His family has to bear that tragic loss forever. There's video evidence, which means this family is constantly going to relive that thing, that trauma. They don't even have a body to bury. And for me, it makes me realize like human beings can be so cruel. Human beings can be so evil. Human beings can, the fact that we exist with people who are able to do these things, shoot someone and feel nothing. Shoot someone over 20 rand. We are being controlled by taxi drivers, and I'm not saying that because I know people are going to be offended because some of them have family members who are taxi drivers, but there's too many rotten apples in that industry. Not only do they kill themselves, fighting, kill each other over routes, they also just create a very hostile environment. So for me, it's like, I'm not surprised that the people from Soweto started protesting and they burnt another taxi in retaliation to what happened. I don't know which world exists where you could kill someone over 20 rand. You have the emotional level of an animal. You have the emotional bandwidth of an animal. If you, because of just that, this is unchecked power. I think for me, the entire thing that is happening here, it's unchecked power. When you give certain people levels of power, like our politicians, the taxi industry has been given so much power and they know that we need them, so they abuse that power. For me, that gives me a lot of anxiety that someone could die, not because they did a crime. They killed someone just on the basis that this person was in their territory. Instead of fighting actual problems, we are basically doing this crabs in a barrel mentality where we see one black person trying to improve, we pull them down. And it's so apparent in black communities because you will never see them target any other racial groups. It's always black people targeting black people and trying to put down other black people, trying to suppress. I don't I don't know, I just feel very triggered by this story. There's also other incidents, there's also other videos that I want us to go through when it comes to this conversation, because I can't even intellectualize it, because there's no logical thought that comes for me to try and understand this. It is inhumane, it is cruel, it is disgusting, and I don't know how we are going to continue with these deaths, because at a point it gets exhausting hearing someone was killed by taxi drivers, hearing someone was killed due to GBV. These things are constantly happening and it's becoming the norm. Something that shouldn't be normal is becoming the norm.
Taxi driver, I have to take a taxi. I can't get a Bolt that I want to take with my money. I'm standing out here. I've been standing at the mall for over 2 hours with kids. I have a baby that's hungry. I'm a taxi driver. But me and my kids, here they are. They're arguing with the Bolt driver right now. They're not thinking about me and my kids. They're thinking about themselves. I can't take a taxi. I can't take a Bolt. I'm forced to take a taxi. Where I lapong tuwa kona bo driver me. This is the current situation that's happening at Krisani Mall, Fosloras. We are being forced into transports that we don't want with our monies. Can somebody come and do something here? I am not going to take a taxi. I don't want to take a taxi. I want to take a Bolt because I have a car. And when my car is not available, I'm a Bolt customer.
Taxi drivers are a pandemic. They're bullies. They bully us on the road. If you call them out for their bad driving, they will attack you. They will probably be violent. They'll probably mess up your car. And no one is doing anything about it. Where is the Minister of Transport? Today, a friend of mine told me that she took an Uber yesterday home. And she was having a conversation with the Uber driver, and the Uber driver was letting her know that they're no longer allowed to pick up people from malls. This is allegedly happening in Cresta, and according to the Uber driver, this was just the beginning. They're going to start doing this with all the malls, including Sandton. How long are we going to be bullied by taxi drivers? And how long is our government going to allow it to happen? Ubers and Bolts are legal. They're operating under a legal framework. There is absolutely no law that prohibits them from picking up people at the mall. But taxi drivers are dictators. They are the ones who decide where Ubers go and where they don't. Our government is spineless. Namagwala. Nisaba abanya bafana. It's just unfortunate ukuthi kwasho no Chris Hani amadoda insizwe zangempela ezayengasabi. Sasala no Mandela izinto ezayifuna ipeace zilokho ezinegotiate ipeace nabantu ababengasifuni. Buka manje sinjani. Kuyimanje siphethe osomatekisi. Lento eniyenzayo kahle kahle yanyanyisa.
And you know what kills me is that some of these men probably have families, these taxi drivers. They probably have families, they probably have kids, they probably have young men in their lives, they have families, definitely. But the ability to just take someone's life just like that, I can't process it. I can't process certain levels of human evil that to me don't make sense. And I don't want us to consistently have to deal with the same problems consistently. I want solutions. I wish we could find solutions to this thing, because it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again because they have so much power all over South Africa. They have unchecked power. And I don't think even our government cares to regulate or formalize or try, because they are a power in themselves. They are in organizations within themselves. Taxi drivers govern themselves. Now, a child is lost. Someone's child is gone. A life has been lost. This was a young man who was literally just trying to fix his life, provide for his family, provide for his mom. I don't know if I can ever process there's certainly the minds. I've studied psychology, but there's certain minds that I don't understand. And my only conclusion is that it's a power. It's a penis measuring contest. It's to show who is the big man. It is a practice of masculinity. It's to show we own this territory. It's a power thing at this point. They suffer from a God complex. Because how are you telling me you're going to take people's autonomy? Because the constant thing here is taking people's autonomy. You're not allowed to take an Uber because the taxi driver told you not to, and they will literally, everywhere you go, you now have to be inconvenienced to go into certain areas just to take an Uber. Now you have to walk far away from a mall just to be able to take an Uber. Taxis are convenient. I get it. Taxis are convenient, but Uber is even more convenient because I want to be dropped off at my house. I want to be dropped off at my house. I don't want you to drop me off at the taxi rank and then I still have to walk to my house. And it's not like they're taking a huge chunk away from you. It's one person taking an Uber or two people taking an Uber. Taxis take multiple people consistently. And I sometimes want the convenience of being able to be dropped off. This is a God complex. This is a power thing. It's taking away people's autonomy, people's ability to choose what they want to do. And taxi drivers, these bad taxi drivers, are ruining the reputation of other taxi drivers because now we can have blanket statements, like the title of this video, that all taxi drivers are evil. Because there's so many rotten apples in the same industry. That's a God complex. To take someone's life, you think you're God. You think you're a creator because you feel like you can take someone's life. I don't know. I want to hear other people's opinions because I feel like maybe some people would be able to process this information and be able to have a discussion that is constructive in how we can move forward with cases like this that will continue to happen. So I want to hear other people. What do you think? How do we move forward? Because these stories are going to happen again. And this trauma is stuck with the family. This is going to be something they remember for the rest of their lives while we move on to the next story, to the next story, to the next case. I want to hear your opinions and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.